Hello and welcome to theultimatehouse.com. This is just a quickie video that we're doing on doors today. Exterior doors. If you're building a new house, this is the one of the things you're going to have a lot of design decisions to make. And here's our little model house. You can see it's a little, I don't know, sort of Cape Cod shingled thing with a metal roof. Notice that it's a raised foundation versus a slab foundation, which means it's above the ground. So if you were to look at this in a section, you would see, again, a section means sawing the house in half, but you would see that there are footings. Depending where you are will determine how deep they are. If you're in a cold area, you would have a frost line, which is lower in the ground, so you would need deeper foundations, or this could be turned into a basement. But basically, a raised foundation has a wood frame floor typically, instead of a slab on grade, which would be, just as it says, a concrete slab on the grade. And the reason I mention that is because if you have exterior doors leading out of the house, you would have to have some sort of a landing or a way to step down. As you can see, this particular site sort of slopes slightly, so there's more of a grade difference here than there is here. But getting back to doors, I have a variety of doors here, and starting with the first one, this would be sort of a typical kind of entry door. It's a wood door with 6 pieces of glass or 6 lights in it. If you look closely, you can see there are 2 wood panels inserted into the frame of the door. This is sort of an older style door, which would mean that we have stiles, these vertical pieces, and rails, these horizontal pieces, and panels interlocked into those stiles and rails. You can also see we have a variety of French doors. This is a French door that has 4 lights or 4 pieces of glass and swings in. This one here is a 12 light, 3 across, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I lied, that's an 18 light. 18 light door. So you can get these kind of doors in all kinds of combinations, or they could be solid doors or solid with glass. The next one here is a solid pane of glass, but it's a sliding door versus a swinging door. Sometimes these are called sliding French doors. And this is a single door, has more of a craftsman cut up with the lights. So this one here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2. That would be a 12 light. And then the last one down is an example of a door that accordions, they could all stack up on one side or 2 sides, or they could slide into a pocket, or they could even wrap around the corner of the door and give you one of those expansive doors that opens up the corner of a house. Okay, so looking at the floor plan, I have a few notes of things I wanted to discuss. Exterior doors, we're going to talk about the types, the different parts, glass, solid doors versus glass doors. We're going to talk about the different claddings on the outside. I want to talk a little bit about the interior parts and the operation, and then some rules of thumb. So let's start off with the rules of thumb. And rules are meant to be broken, of course, but rules of thumb just meaning some general doors. So if you look at these doors from the inside, this particular example of a building has a 10-foot plate or 10-foot high wall, and then a standard 6'8" or 80-inch high door. You can see these are all the same. So 6'8" is a standard. If you have a bigger scale house, you might have an 8-foot door. That's sort of a new standard for a larger size. But you can get a door made 7 feet tall. You can get a door made 7'4" and a half inches tall. You can get any size you want. as a custom size, but the sort of standard is 6'8" or 8 as a tall door. Okay, so as long as we're inside, let's talk about some of the parts of the door from the inside. We have, in this particular house, a baseboard right here, and a little base shoe, which is often used when you have hardwood floors. We also have a casing around the door. You can see this piece right here. In this case, it's just a flat casing with a head casing, or sometimes called a lintel, on top, which protrudes out a little bit. You can do casings and moldings around doors in all kinds of different ways and configurations. You can have crowns on them, you can have intricate moldings, you can have simple moldings, you can have mitered corners, butt corners, overlapping corners. You can see a slightly different finish on this one on the right. But let's get back to the outside and look at some of the parts on the outside. So same thing on the outside. Here's an example of a door that has literally no casing or surround. It's just the jamb of the door. The shingles are butting to it. Probably not a great design for shingles. This one here is a door that has a casing wrapped around side casings, top or a head casing or lintel. On this door you can see an oak sill or threshold. This is a painted one or maybe even a metal one. One of the big differences between these two sets of doors here is this door swings in and this door swings out. Oftentimes people want French doors to swing out. In my opinion, they don't generally work as well when they swing out. You can see the hinges on the exterior. Typically they don't weather all that well. The door fits better and weatherproofs better if it swings in. If we go back to the floor plan, you will see here's the in-swing door and here's the out-swing door. By the way, these numbers here, 6068, that means it's 6 feet 0 inches wide by 6 feet 8 inches tall. So again, that's sort of a standard size door. But you can see with an in-swing door, it's going to make a difference in the amount of space you can use on the inside. For example, if you wanted a couch here, it wouldn't be very convenient to have the door swinging in. Whereas with an outswing door, you have to be careful because these doors you need to be able to secure them from the wind blowing them, slamming them shut if you have them open. Oftentimes that could be a hook on the outside. But to open out, the hinge has to be on the outside plane of the wall, so these doors can lay all the way back. And the door isn't on the outside plane of the wall. Whereas on the in-swing ones, the door is on the inside plane of the door of the wall. This next one down here is a sliding door. And these can be really terrific as efficient ways to design because you can see it gives you much more flexibility with the floor plan versus a door that swings in. If we look at that door from the outside, of course a sliding door will slide back on the other, so you won't have that big opening that you would have if both these doors are open. For some reason, I find that it's very typical that men like the sliding doors and women like the swinging doors. Not sure why. That's a men are Mars, women are Venus kind of thing. So you can have 2 doors together, you can have 3 doors together, 4 doors, you can have doors with side lights, you can have doors with sort of clear story windows on top. Endless number of ways that you can combine interior and exterior doors and windows to create different shapes and different patterns. Also, you can have different types of glass. You can have single pane glass, you can have tempered glass, which is often recommended for exterior doors. You can have true divided lights, which means that there's a pane of glass for this section and each of these sections. Or you can have a single pane of glass, or dual pane glass in this particular case, with the frames sandwiched inside there. You can have triple glazed glass, you can have quadruple glazed glass. You can have glass which lets in little solar radiation or a lot of solar radiation. You can have tinted glass. You can have glass that has special lines in it so that the birds don't fly into it. It's actually used quite a bit with skyscrapers. So that's just sort of a quick overview of exterior doors. Let's see, did I leave anything out on my list? Exterior doors are typically 1.75 inches thick versus interior doors are 1 3/8 inches. Again, that's a rule of thumb, but not always. I like to use 1 3/4 inch doors for interior doors. I think it gives it an extra heft. Most exterior doors, like a front door, would be at least 3 feet wide, 36 inches. You can see that 3.0 again, 3.068. That means a 3-foot 0-inch wide by a 6-foot 8-inch tall door. You can have a 32-inch door for an exterior door, maybe as a back door or a screen door, but I find at least 36 inches is a minimum. You can also have a 4-foot wide door, or even bigger. More than 4 feet, the door starts to get a little bit unwieldy typically. We talked about heights of doors, interior doors. Obviously, there's an endless selection of hardware, different kinds of finishes. This is a lever. You can have a knob, on and on. Anyway, so hopefully that helps you with as a quick overview on doors. We'll do windows next time. Thanks again. Otis Bradley signing off.